Good morning and welcome. Thank you for joining us for the August 2015 Public Safety News Conference. My name is Trey Mayo. I'm the Fire Chief for the City of Winston-Salem. This morning the Fire Department is kicking off. We'll have presentations from Bruce Bailiff from Community and Business Development. Bruce will be talking about the minimum housing code and smoke alarm requirements that are within that code. And then the fire department will have a presentation by Assistant Chief Frank Stowe. Frank is our logistics chief, and he will talk about a new ladder truck that we are going to be putting in service in about the next 30 days. Following that, we'll have presentations from the Winston-Salem Forsyth Emergency Management and the Winston-Salem Police Department. So without further ado, Bruce.
Good morning. My name is Bruce Bailiff. I'm with Community and Business Development. I'm the Housing Inspector Supervisor. And we, Community and Business Development, are here to talk about the Minimum Housing Code. A couple of things came to light in response to a fatality that occurred at a fire at 614 West End Boulevard somewhere around the 1st of July. And we believe that the Minimum Housing Code addresses a number of issues that help to protect public safety, personal as well as community safety. Over here on the side, you'll see the Minimum Housing Code. Again, it addresses public safety. The Minimum Housing Code is designed to address public safety, public health, anything that might be unsafe, unfit, or unsanitary. And it goes at the maintenance standards that should be going on, property maintenance standards, if you will, as opposed to new construction. New construction would be handled through the City County Inspections Department. Some of those standards relate, again, as we say, to public safety, but for what we're talking about here today is smoke detectors. Some of the other items that we deal with have to do with electrical safety and structural safety. For instance, the heart of what we hope to communicate today is a requirement where there should be smoke detectors in each and every bedroom. This is in habitable spaces. A smoke detector in each and every bedroom, a smoke detector outside of the bedrooms in the common area, and a smoke detector on each and every level, with the exception of attics and crawl spaces. These smoke detectors under the Minimum Housing Code, and I want to draw the difference between the Minimum Housing Code and the State Building Code. Minimum Housing Code allows these to be standalone smoke detectors, to not be interconnected, and to be battery operated. State Building Code has different requirements, and I mention that solely from that standpoint to draw the difference. Again, Minimum Housing Code requires smoke detectors in the bedrooms, the common areas outside of the bedrooms, and on each level of the house or structure, except for attics and crawl spaces. And they can be battery operated. This slide talks about new construction and the requirement that for electrical systems about being interconnected. That would be for new construction again. That would be enforced by city county inspections. And again, it reiterates that as far as what we're looking at, the smoke detectors can be battery operated. Some other items that we frequently see in terms of violations of the Minimum Housing Code that deal with safety and health and sanitation: exposed wires. Doesn't make any difference where it may be, exposed wires, because you never know whether they're energized or whether they're not. Missing cover plates for outlets and switches. Sometimes we go into apartments or dwelling units and there are small children. You can just imagine the hazard and the risk there, where there are missing cover plates either on the light switches or on the outlets. Dangling fixtures or outlets. If there's a fixture that's hanging from the ceiling, for instance, the stress on those wires can create a fire hazard. Sometimes we run into leaning walls. If something is leaning more than 1/3 out of plumb, then that's considered to be structurally unsafe. Sagging floors and ceilings usually drive at the system itself, either the flooring system or the ceiling system, and there should be no what we call deflection, no sagging. rotting or damaged floors and roof joists, those would fall kind of under that category and cause sagging floors and ceilings. Most of the provisions of the minimum housing code are the responsibility of the property owner. And in the case of smoke detectors, landlords, the property owners, are responsible for providing the smoke detectors. They are not responsible for the batteries or for the electricity. That would be the responsibility of the tenant. But they must be operable. They must be able to show us that they are operable. And the City of Winston-Salem, the minimum housing code, is enforced by the Code Enforcement Division here within Community and Business Development. And so many times I have questions posed to me, when should we call, or what kinds of things beyond smoke detectors do we address? And the list is just so long and would involve so many things that the preference is if you see something that you feel like is unsafe, unhealthy, or insanitary, contact CityLink at 311 or 727-8000. That's 311 or 727-8000. And they can set up for our inspectors to come out to make contact. The one thing I would stress that we would like to have is a contact name, a telephone number so that we can call back, a street address that involves street number, the street name, and if it's a multifamily, to have the unit number. That allows us to identify the location very quickly. And thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Frank Stowe, Assistant Fire Chief over Logistics with the Winston-Salem Fire Department. Thank you all for having me here today. I'm here this morning to just give you a brief overview of our newest piece of apparatus for the fire department. In 2013, the fire department decided that it was time for us to purchase a new piece of equipment in the form of a ladder truck. But the decision was, do we buy a new truck or do we do a remount? A remount is simply the use of a truck that already exists. Let me go back for a minute. And as you can see, the quoted cost in 2013 for a new truck was $1.2 million. The price for the remount was $721,000. And as you can see, that was a savings of $479,000. The advantage to the City of Winston-Salem Fire Department and the City of Winston-Salem include the following. First and foremost, we acquired a truck that had a lifespan of another 15 years for us. This new truck and the ladder was recertified, and the ladder is under the current NFPA, National Fire Protection Association 1901 standards. Also, this new truck meets the green emission standards. With a new cab, as you can see, with a new truck, it protects firefighters much better than the old technology of 1998. The apparatus will be housed at Fire Station 18, which is located at 1505 North Peace Haven Road. The new ladder truck will be designated as Truck 18 and is responsible for search and rescue, forcible entry, ventilation, and technical rescue services. Its area of specialty is confined space rescue. The apparatus will be placed in service after the proper license and equipment are received. We anticipate the time frame to be within the next 30 days. And what I have here next on the next slide is just some pictures of the new apparatus. And thank you for your time, and I'll entertain any questions that you might have. And there being none, thank you again.
Good morning. My name is Leah Cordell. I'm an Emergency Management Coordinator with the Office of Emergency Management. And the mission of emergency management gives us the opportunity to work with several different partners to provide services for emergency response. The Forsyth County Department of Public Health is one of our major sponsors or partners. Today, the Director of Public Health is going to provide information on an important topic, back-to-school immunization requirements. Please welcome Forsyth County Public Health Director Marlon Hunter.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Marlon Hunter. I'm the Director of the Forsyth County Department of Public Health. Thank you for having me here today to talk about this important topic, and it is back-to-school immunizations. You know, each year in Forsyth County, we have between, at least over the past 2 years, between 200 and 300 kids suspended because they have not met these requirements. And so we want to take a very proactive approach at the health department by making sure that all parents are aware of the immunization requirements and that they are working with us to make sure that they are in compliance with the North Carolina general statute, you know, that focus heavily on a wide variety of immunizations. This year is different because we have some new immunization requirements in addition to the ones that are already in place. So that's what I'm going to spend time talking about today, you know, which are the new requirements that we want parents to focus on. Kindergartners in general are required to have, now this is it, before kindergartners were required to have 1 dose, now they are required to have 2 doses of varicella chickenpox vaccine if they do not have a history of disease documented by a healthcare provider. In addition, they need a 4th dose of polio vaccine, which must be given after 4 years of age and before entering school for the first time. So these are, if you're a parent and you have young children, I would just encourage you to really get with your healthcare provider or the health department and just really understand, in addition to everything else you have to deal with getting your kids ready for school, what these requirements mean. And so all kindergartners are required to have a physical exam signed by a physician, and it must not be more than 1 year old. In addition, we have 7th graders that will be required to have 1 dose of Tdap vaccine, which is tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis. You know, in the past couple of years in our county, we've seen an increase in whooping cough. So this vaccine is important because it helps us control whooping cough in our community, which is passed, you know, very quickly and on to our children. So we want to make sure that we have 7th graders get that dose. And then there's a new requirement for 7th graders to have 1 dose of the meningococcal meningitis vaccine. You know, we work with the legislature to have this added to the required vaccines. We have not necessarily seen an increase in meningococcal meningitis in our communities, you know, but we want to be proactive because you contract meningococcal meningitis, it moves very quickly and in most cases within 48 hours, very deadly. And if you survive it, it typically results in the loss of limbs. So we want to make sure that parents understand this vaccine and this requirement. I could really spend time going into the detail, you know, about meningococcal meningitis, but I would just recommend you check out the website at www.forsyth.cc, then click on Public Health, so that you can read more and understand about vaccines and vaccine preventable diseases. Now, there are 2 situations and 2 instances where parents or kids are exempt from getting vaccinations. and one is a medical exemption, and you can see the general statute 138, 156 where students are exempt when a required immunization is or may be determined by their health. And the second exemption is a religious exemption under the North Carolina General Statute 138-157. And so in addition to the information that I'm giving you, the legal requirement is in the general statute, so we wanted to make sure, you know, from our perspective at the local health department, that we provided that information where our legislature has put this information in place. Each year, we have discussions around the country about flu vaccines and, you know, and various other vaccines. Should I get my kids vaccinated? Should we not? But in North Carolina, we have a state law that's very clear and that requires us to make sure our children are vaccinated. And the bottom line is that we really think that although there may be a lot of controversy surrounding a particular vaccine, we think the benefits outweigh the risk. So we're here at the health department. Please give us a call so that we can answer any questions you may have about the vaccines. Check in with your medical providers, ask them questions. School is about to start in a few days, and so we want to make sure that your kid is not in a situation where they are suspended. That is very important to us. On a final note, at the health department, is that we are working very closely with the school system to make sure that we drastically decrease that number of students that are suspended or expelled from school because they don't meet this requirement. I don't think there's any reason whatsoever why our kids should be expelled when we have resources at the health department. If there's an issue of cost associated with the vaccines and you don't have insurance, the health department provides these vaccines for free if you don't have insurance or if you're on Medicaid. So I think that is important to note if there's a question or a concern surrounding cost associated with vaccines. We want to get that number of suspended students from 300 to as close to zero as possible. And that's something that I want to challenge all of you as parents and departments and medical providers and school systems to really work with us on in our community to accomplish. Finally, here again, if you have any more questions, we have an immunization project program manager at the health department. We're putting her up front and center. Her name is Felicia Levitt. Please give her a call. And in addition to what I've shared, we have more detailed information available for you. I'll take any questions at this moment.
For the parents that may be against having their kids vaccinated, what would your guys' argument be to get them to understand the importance of it going into this upcoming school year?
So your question was, we have parents that may be against getting their children vaccinated, and what would our argument be as a public health agency, that might help change their minds? Well, we think sincerely that the benefits outweigh the risk. I just want to take a moment just to say that our public health department in Forsyth County will celebrate its 100-year anniversary starting January of 2016. To me, as a public health official, in my mind, that speaks volume to the work that we're doing in public health and the significance of this work and what it means. And so, and as we think back over the past 100 years of health outcomes and disease and how disease has spread through our communities, immunizations has been, on the medical side of things, the tool that we've used to minimize the spread of disease and risk in our communities. So our argument from a public health profession and from a medical profession is that the benefits outweigh the risk. And then also we've spent some time convincing the legislature to put it into law because we see and have evidence to show that when folks are vaccinated, from a herd immunity perspective, we're able to minimize the spread of disease. So to further, just to illustrate, if you have a group of people that are vaccinated and you have one individual with a disease, who is coming into an environment or a situation, these individuals that are vaccinated are less likely, not 100%, but less likely to contract what this new individual might bring to the group if they are vaccinated. And that's the benefit of herd immunity, and why we want to make sure that as many people as possible, especially our children and our elderly that are most vulnerable, receive the appropriate vaccinations that we recommend. Any additional questions? Thank you for your time.
So we'll take a break right here and just make sure before we get too much information rolled out that there are no questions about any of the topics that we have covered so far this morning. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Barry Roundtree from the Winston-Salem Police Department.
Good morning. I'm Chief Roundtree. Thank you all for being here. Before I get started, I want to thank all the women and men of the police department for all your hard work and dedication to ensure that we have a safe city. I also like to mention that this is National Forensic Services Week, August the 9th through the 15th. So I want to thank all our personnel that work in our Forensic Services Division and also in computer forensics. And before I get started, our topics today, I want to honor two Winston-Salem police officers who lost their lives serving, and August marks the month when Patrolman Gurney L. Royal and Patrolman Thomas Garland Anderson lost their lives serving. So as we honor them, I'll just read briefly what occurred during this incident. Patrolman Royal, he was shot and killed with his own service weapon after he and his partner, Patrolman Paul Blackburn, responded to a disturbance call at 3rd Street and Church Street in front of the Lincoln Theater. The suspect was able to gain control of Patrolman Royal's weapon, and he fired it 5 times. The 4th shot struck Patrolman Royal in the head, killing him instantly. Patrolman Garland Anderson, he ended his watch on Monday, August the 15th, 1927, as a result of a motorcycle accident. Patrolman Anderson was involved in a motorcycle accident at 11th Street and Highland Avenue while responding to a vehicle accident, and he died from his injuries on August the 15th. So let's just pause for a moment as we honor these two officers who lost their lives. Okay, we have several topics that we'll be discussing here today. First coming up, we have Sergeant Rob Peterson. He will talk about traffic safety and various information on traffic safety around our community. Following him, we'll have Corporal Harry White, who will cover what to do if you're stopped by a police officer. Followed by him, we'll have Corporal Rudy Richardson, and he will cover traffic involving back-to-school safety. Lieutenant Mike Weaver will come up. Lieutenant Mike Weaver supervises our school resource officers. He will provide information on general school safety, what to do, what to report, and when to do it. And our last presenter will be Captain Natasha James, and she will be providing information on auto break-ins, tips, and things to protect yourself and your property. So first up, we have Sergeant Rob Peterson.
Good morning. My name is Sergeant Robert Peterson with Winston-Salem Police Department. I'm currently assigned to the Traffic Enforcement Unit. We're going to talk today a little bit about school safety since the 2015-2016 year is getting ready to start. I'm going to go over the speed zone violations here at the schools and what we're looking for. We're hoping that we're not busy during this time, but we're going to be out in enforcement with SROs and the traffic unit and the WSPD officers. And what we're looking for is compliance in the school zones to be safe, keep the children safe, keep keep the driver safe. It's an expensive ticket. If you would take 8 to 10 minutes before you go to school, start a little earlier, and not run through the school zone at a high rate of speed, we won't have any contact. Well, it'll be a good year. We're going to start at the beginning of the year and go all the way through the very end of the year. We're not going to start and just quit. We're going to make sure that the kids arrive safely. We're going to be talking about some school bus safety on what to do when you see a school bus, when you can pass, when you can't, and hopefully it'll take out some of the confusion on some of these roads that we have that are multi-lane. I just wanted to let everybody know that the citations that would be issued in a school zone are very expensive. It's a $250 fine with a $188 cost of court. That's $438 with 3 points on your insurance. That tells you to slow down, start earlier, don't get in a rush. Everybody needs to be on work on time, so that means set the alarm clock 30 minutes prior before you come to a school zone. If it's in session, that's when it'll be enforced. And we'll be in every kind of vehicle you can think of out here enforcing it, make sure that the kids are going to be safe, and that's our main priority. I'm going to bring up Rudy or Corporal White to talk about the traffic stops. When you're stopped, do we have any questions on the school zone violations or what we plan on doing before we go to the next? Corporal White.
Good morning. I'm Corporal White. I'm here to talk about what you need to do if you're stopped by the police. It's common for people to be offended or angered when stopped by the police. Even though this may cause a delay, or the delay may cause an inconvenience, the officer really has a good reason for stopping you. An officer may want to warn you about a potentially dangerous situation. You may have committed a traffic violation. Your car may have a vehicle equipment violation that you don't know about, or you may actually be driving a vehicle that matches a suspect description. If you have not been told why you have been stopped, you may inquire. But remember, be courteous, follow all reasonable requests made by the officer, keep your hands visible, don't run, don't lie. Also, there's no such thing as a routine traffic stop. So what we need to do, if you're ever pulled over by the police, is to pull your vehicle to a safe location out of the flow of traffic. Remain in your vehicle. Stay calm and keep your hands visible. If you have passengers, ask them to sit quietly. If it's dark, turn on your interior light and roll down your windows. Also, you may want to communicate your actions prior to moving. If you're requested to give your license or registration card, please do it. And if you're asked to exit the vehicle, comply in a calm manner. An officer can ask you to remain in your vehicle or exit your vehicle for safety. If you have a concealed carry permit, please make sure you notify the officer as soon as possible. And if you don't have a concealed carry, but you are carrying your personal weapon, please let the officer know as soon as possible and keep your hands visible. Okay? If you're frustrated or dissatisfied with your interaction with the police officer, you can, or feel that you have been treated unfairly, you may politely ask the officer questions to clarify that situation or ask to speak with the supervisor. If the encounter is already over and the officer is no longer there, you can always contact the supervisor by phone or respond to the police department. For more information regarding what to do when you're stopped by the police, please visit our website, www.wspd.org. Thank you. Drive safely.
Good morning. I'm going to go over basically the statute that covers what to do when you encounter a stopped school bus with the mechanical stop arm out and the red lights are flashing. But before I do that, I want to go over a few statistics with you. Last year, or a few years ago, Forsyth County or the state of North Carolina did what they call a one-day study. And they got the school bus drivers to count how many violations that they had seen with a stop arm violation. And I was really surprised by it. I just looked at this morning. It was 3,200 stop arm violations one day. One day. That's 87 in Forsyth County. That was last year, 87 violations in Forsyth County. At the Winston-Salem Police Department, we received 38 calls from bus drivers and or citizens reporting stop arm violations. So what do we do with that? Well, the information that they provide with us, sometimes it goes to dead ends. We send letters out if we're able to get a tag. We say, hey, your car was involved in a stop arm violation at this location. Did you know this is a safety to the kids? Your insurance could go up based on the person that was driving your car. Would you like to talk to a representative? Or we're able to identify who the driver was and issue a citation, which did result in some citations last year. So we have next week, when school starts, we'll have 358 buses in Forsyth County, Winston-Salem, Forsyth County schools on the streets. Some of these buses run dual routes. So you'll see these buses go into certain schools. They'll turn around and go to other schools at different time frames and deliver the kids, hopefully, safely. I've got a chart up here that kind of shows you if you encounter a bus on the road, what do? How do you figure out when you can stop and when you don't want to stop? Well, first of all, if you don't know if you should stop, stop. Because our main goal is to keep the kids safe. There's a couple of examples here. I've got 2 different slides here to show the examples. If you have any questions about anything that I say or anything about the school bus statistics or laws, you can go to ncbussafety.org for more information. These are some examples of when you should stop. Obviously, if you have a 2-lane road with a double yellow line, you're going to stop. If you have a 2-lane road with a center turn lane, you're going to stop. Now, this is different. On the center slide, on the center photo right there, if you have a 4-lane highway and you have a center turn lane, the cars in the opposite direction do not have to stop. If you ever are coming up behind the school bus on a parking lot, a street, or any other location that the red lights and the mechanical arm are out, you have to stop if you come behind the school bus traveling in the same direction. In the opposite direction on a 4-lane highway with the center turn lane, you don't have to stop. If you have a center median on a 4-lane highway, you do not have to stop. If you have a 4-lane highway like Solace Creek Parkway with a grass median, you don't have to stop. But remember, the safety of the kids is the first priority. If you think that the kids are in danger, or if you're not sure if you should stop or not, then stop. Second slide right here shows a couple of examples of when you don't have to stop. The top slide has what I would say is probably a concrete median, and the bottom one has the center turn lane. Both being 4 lanes, you'll notice that the cars that were in the same direction as the school bus, they all stopped. They were not able to overtake the school bus. In the school zones with the Winston-Salem Police Department, and considering these statistics, we do get a lot of calls with it. So what are we doing at the Winston-Salem Police Department to combat the problem of stop school bus violations? We use unmarked cars, we follow the school buses on motorcycles, and we follow up from the citizens' call. So if you do see a violation, call the non-emergency number at the Winston-Salem Police Department and give us the opportunity to contact the violator so we can keep the kids safe. So what are the consequences if you're caught running a stop arm or a stop school bus, displaying the mechanical stop arm and the red lights? Well, the school buses they have video. There was a statute 3 years ago that was put into effect that allows us to use the video in court to aid in the prosecution. There will be no breaks. If we stop you in Winston-Salem, there won't be a warning ticket. This is your warning now. So stop behind the school bus, not so you don't get a ticket, but so you don't hurt the kid. You'll get 5 points on your driver's license. You'll get 8 points on your driver's license if you have a commercial driver's license. It's a mandatory court appearance. If you get a ticket for a stop school bus, you have to go to court. Minimum fine is $500 plus court costs. So you're looking at about a $700 bill when you show up in court. There are absolutely no prayer for judgments allowed. This is under the statute. The statute, General Statute 20-217, no prayer for judgments are allowed. If you're convicted of this, you're looking at probably about $700 in court, and you're looking for an average person's insurance. Say you have good insurance, your insurance is going to at least double for 3 consecutive years or cancel. So next week when you're out riding around, make sure that we stop for the stop school buses to keep the kids safe. Again, not so you don't get a ticket, so we don't end up hitting a kid. With that said, if a child is struck, and while the violator goes past a red mechanical stop arm, the statute that I was just talking about is a misdemeanor. If you just go by and nothing happens, it's a class 1 misdemeanor. It ups to a felony if you strike a child. The felony charges will at least double and or imprisonment. and of course the civil cases that will follow. Does anybody have any questions about any of the material that I just covered? Thanks for the time. Drive safe. Watch out for our kids next week when they go back to school.
Good morning. My name is Mike Weaver. I'm a lieutenant with the Winston-Salem Police Department. Currently supervise the Educational Service Unit. That unit consists of the SROs, School Resource Officers, and the Super Kids program. SROs are assigned to all the middle schools and high schools within the city limits, which is 9 high schools, 11 middle schools. And we also provide services to all the elementary schools within the county, which is 43. That's the Super Kids unit. I want to basically talk about general school safety. As has been alluded to, school is getting ready to start August 24th to be exact. Please give yourself plenty of time to get where you're going that morning. As Corporal Richard just pointed out, buses will be out for the first time this year. There will be some kinks they're going to be working through, so it's going to take you longer than normal to get to where you're going. So please be very patient on that date. School safety, it starts at home. The parents, it's incumbent on us and on you to know what is your child doing. Who are they talking to? What are they researching? Kids go to new schools, meet new friends, and they come across new challenges. So at home they may be researching this through social media, through the internet, and this is your opportunity to address it, divert it, or correct it. So please take advantage of that opportunity. Also, sit down and talk to them. What's going on in school? What are they learning about? Who are their new friends? What have they been exposed to? As Chief Roundtree alluded to earlier, this will be the time when you'll find out, hey, is this something I need to report? When do I need to report it? And what do I need to do? Use your judgment on that. Encourage your children to approach the SRO at school with any kind of information. You don't want to be that person that had information about something that may take place and didn't report it, and we can prevent a tragedy that way. Conflict resolution. Be sure you talk to your kids about if they're having problems at school. Talk about it. Don't go straight to fighting. Unfortunately, that happens all too often. One of the things too, backpacks, things that children bring to school. A lot of times over the weekend, the kids might go fishing, Boy Scouts, camping, and they inadvertently leave pocket knives and other items in their backpacks, forget to take it out and bring it to school. That can be considered a violation of school policies, so please be mindful of that. Prior to the first day of school, we would strongly encourage you to walk with your children to the bus stop or to the route they'll be taken to and from school. The purpose for this is so that you can identify any kind of potential hazards, things to avoid, and make sure that the children know what to do in the case of each event. Know your school. Know where the office is, know your teachers, and respond to that location if you need to seek any kind of information. And please be sure they have updated and current emergency contact information. As kids are walking to and from bus stops, to and from school, one of the things they need to be mindful is don't be distracted. A lot of kids now get on cell phones or texting while walking, got earbuds in, crossing over busy intersections, and that's not going to end good. So be sure they pay attention to these hazardous locations. Encourage your children to know the SRO at their school. They're there at all the locations I just talked about. Feel free to talk to them about any kind of incidents or information they may have. Cell phones. Larceny of cell phones is one of the biggest problems we have within the schools. And a lot of times it can, to help us in investigative techniques, be sure there's an Where's My Phone app tracking application, something like that, so we can pursue that. And unfortunately, we're probably guilty of this as adults, know your phone number. A lot of times the kids' phones get stolen. I say, what's your phone number? I don't know, because everything's push button now. So be sure they know their phone number and their address. School policy as far as kindergarten and first graders. When these children are brought home on the bus to the school stop, a parent or guardian has to be on site to receive the child. If the parent is not there, the child will be taken to the nearest school, at which time notifications will be made to the home school so the parents know where their children are. But the children, specifically first graders and kindergartners, will not just be left there unattended. For more information on any of this topics, please feel free to visit the website, the police department under the crime prevention, or the school's website as well. Any questions? Okay, at this time I'm going to turn over to Captain James, who's got some information about auto break-ins.
Good morning. Since January 2015, the Winston-Salem Police Department has responded to many auto break-ins around the city. Recently, many of these offenses have taken place in residential communities. While many of the target vehicles were locked, a vast majority were left unlocked. It is suggested that you always lock your vehicle and do not leave valuables in sight. Should you find that you are a victim of an auto break-in, do not enter your vehicle and contact the police department as soon as possible as to not destroy any evidentiary value. Many of these incidents are random acts, but individuals have been known to scope out your neighborhoods minutes, days, or even weeks prior to these acts taking place. Therefore, if you notice someone in your neighborhood that does not belong, or if you witness any suspicious behavior, please contact the police department and report your observations. If you observe an auto break-in, do not confront the suspect. Instead, call 911 and provide as much information about the suspect as possible. If you have any information regarding unsolved auto break-ins, please contact the Winston-Salem Police Department's Crime Stoppers Hotline at 336-727-2800. 2800. You can minimize your risk of becoming a victim of an auto break-in by simply locking your doors. If you have to leave valuables in your vehicle, leave them in the trunk of your car. Please put these items in your vehicle prior to arriving at your destination. So if you're getting ready to leave home and you know you're not going to take valuable items inside with you, put them in your trunk prior to leaving home. And that way no one will see you place these items in your trunk once you reach your destination. Leave no trace that there may be valuables in your vehicle. Items such as GPS docking stations, CDs, cell phone chargers, and other items make individuals aware that there may be other items in your vehicle. Also, try to park in well-lit areas. Do not store valuables in your vehicle longer than necessary, especially overnight. Do not leave valuables in your vehicle where they can be seen. A lot of people run to the grocery store for a quick minute, leave purses wedged under the seat, leave wallets wedged in between the seat and the console. Please do not leave these items because people are able to see them from the outside looking in. Items such as cell phones, loose change, iPods, jewelry, keys, GPS, and laptops are all items that are commonly known to be stolen from vehicles. Mail, personal mail are some of the items, as well as GPSs, that if taken from your vehicle, people have access to your home addresses. So please make sure that you store these items in the trunk of your vehicle. Do not leave items that may seem of value to others, even if not to you. And that would include computer bags, backpacks, gym bags, and briefcases. Oftentimes, when gym bags are stolen, individuals report weapons that were placed inside these gym bags as well. So again, please do not leave valuable items in sight in your vehicles. To date, officers have responded to 1,100 auto break-ins citywide. In 2014, a total of 1,754 auto break-ins calls were received by the Winston-Salem Police Department. We are aware that many auto break-ins go unreported and encourage you to always report any suspicious activity or items that may be missing from your vehicle. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for any of our presenters from the police department? I do have one item that wasn't on our agenda. I know some of you are already aware of it because you've been doing what you do. You've been making your calls and inquiring about different things. But we were informed last night that we had one of our employees who was involved in an incident in Charlotte that led to his arrest. Currently, our Professional Standards Division is communicating with Charlotte PD to obtain all the facts. And as you are aware, any arrest information is public record. but you will have to get that information from the arresting agency. Our department is investigating this as an administrative investigation and a personnel matter. So with that said, we will not be releasing any names, any photographs, or any information like that until we obtain all the information. I will say that this employee has been placed on administrative leave while our professional standards division conduct the investigation. So if you don't have any questions or any information from our presenters, we're in our press conference at this time. Thank you.
I just want to see if you can confirm that it was Byron James.
No, sir, I cannot.
You can't
Not at
confirm
this
it,
point.
or it wasn't him?
Not at this point. I think you heard me clearly, that at this point, we're not releasing any names, and we're not giving any other information until we get all information. But I do appreciate your question. Thank you.